Hello. Hey, Plumey. Plumey, have you seen the channel that I posted? I pinned it in the chat. So I was listening to the Ronnie Watts interview, both parts. They're not very long, on the channel Chris Watts, Revelation in the Reckoning. Have you checked that out yet, Plumey? No? Hold on really fast. Let me see when this channel... I've been hearing a lot about this channel, and today was the first time I checked it out, I believe. Or wait, I think I subscribed already. I just never checked out their stuff. So I'm reading their About section right now on that channel, which, by the way, I've been hearing a lot of negative stuff about this channel, but I have a lot to say about this because I think people are too easy to attack people, and I think all sides deserve to be heard, no matter what. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Kim. Hey, Peace, Love, and Smiles. So have you guys checked out the Ronnie Watts interview that was on the Chris Watts Revelation in the Reckoning channel? I posted the channel link in the chat. And I actually saw another creator talking about this really terribly, actually. And I believe the father has every right to speak. And in my personal opinion, hey, Connie, I feel like anytime Chris Watts' parents have had the opportunity to talk, they are so quickly, people are so easy to jump on them and attack. And I'm not for that. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Kim. All right. So I actually wrote down some notes because I was going to do this later and I was like, no, I'm actually kind of annoyed with this. And my head itches. So yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to say, that anytime they speak, this family, people are so quick to be like, they're terrible people. They said Shanann was evil, or they said this, or they said that. You got to understand there is a history there. Hey, Ruby. You heard, blows my mind though. But yes, I agree. He does have every right to talk. Yeah. Hi, Amy. How do I put this nicely? Because I want this to be a good conversation. I don't want to offend people, but I just imagine myself. Okay, I'm gonna look away from my phone really fast. I imagine myself being in a situation where I have a child. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna put myself in the Watts shoes. The Chris Watts parents. Hey, Casper. Nikki's live? I didn't see Nikki was live. Sorry, I was listening to these videos and I got triggered and I had to talk about it. So anyways. Hey, AJ. Oh, you agree? Hey, Kimberly. And I know this is going to make people mad, but it shouldn't make you mad that people have the right to speak their mind. I've been in relationships with people where I didn't necessarily talk to their parents or maybe get along so much. Hi, Loopy Loo. So I could only imagine if something like this happened, which facts and myths and theories are being thrown around from all ends, right? And then there's a side that says, it's over, leave it alone. Stop talking about it. And then they continue to talk about it. But if you have a family and you don't, I wanted to first touch on the lack of emotion with Chris Watts and his father. And everyone says Cindy Watts too. In my personal opinion, I know this is a terrible tragedy and it has to hurt everybody on different levels that were involved, being her family, his family, everyone. I think that if you're not If you're living in different states and you're somebody's in-laws and you don't get along with your son's wife, can you imagine how close they really got to that family? You know, how close they really got to their grandchildren. Now, I don't know. I'm just saying I can only imagine how close can you really get? So when a tragedy hits like that, I'm sure it's shocking. Everybody grieves in different ways. So when people say they had a lack of emotion, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Well, that's you. There's a history behind their relationship with Shanann. That is my personal opinion. And in no way that's to be taken of people saying, oh my God, he's supporting murder. No. I am completely against people attacking his parents. And I think it's disgusting because they're also victims as well. Now, as far as, I had it pulled up on the screen, but I'm just going to pull it up on my phone. They're being treated disrespectful. They're also part of this tragedy. And nobody sees that because they want to place their anger on what their son did on them. Or say they raised them, they did this. Well, we have to remember that there was also a marriage and a relationship that led up to this situation. Fighting, cheating, talks of selling a house, divorce, all that kind of stuff. Do you see how intently I'm listening? I have strong opinions on Chris Watts. You missed what I said so far, so go ahead. I will still love you. Even oh, no, it's okay to disagree. But my question is, if I was to see, I always try to put myself in people's shoes. I don't see how anybody could be attacking his parents because of what he did. And do you want them to lie? You know, when they speak the truth and they say, you know, he said she was evil. That's something another creator is having a problem with right now. How in the world could they say that? Well, because that was the truth. That's what he thought. I know. I just realized that, Wendy. He's an adult. He did what he did. His parents can't control that. I do feel for his parents, especially his dad. Hey, Doreen. Yeah, his dad's the one that got the, you know, first confession. It just, to hear, especially another creator was talking about it, and it was driving me nuts because they're so angry at these people. Like they were the ones who actually committed a crime. And I think it's completely unfair. And seeing somebody like this other channel that I pinned in the comments, seeing them making a channel, just seeing a different side, seeing how they're already being attacked, talked about poorly, you know, oh, they're terrible. How dare them see another side to the story? To me, truth is like a puzzle. And sometimes you got to collect the pieces from different areas. You're not going to find all the puzzle pieces on one side of the story. I agree, AJ. And it seems like anytime, and you don't see them talk very often. And I don't blame them. I mean, look what happens when they do. I could only imagine what they put up with on a daily basis. I don't give a shit, Sakura. It's all fair, all good, Robbie. I don't trust the relationship they think they have with him. Does that make sense to you? I believe he has worn a mask his whole life. No relationship he had is real. Well, I don't know that because I don't know him personally. But I believe our parents, you know, depending on, I guess, any different relationship with, you know, a child and parents know their children pretty well. So yeah, of course he wore a mask in the relationship. He was cheating. I know, Sakura, but I still don't care. In that confession, when he told his dad, you can just hear and see how hurt his dad was. If his dad wasn't there, he probably never even would have talked. The other thing, too, is, can you imagine anybody you love, sitting in front of you, telling you the story that Chris did to his dad? There's some sort of, I mean, you love this person and they're confessing to you. So there's some sort of comfort you want to give them because they're opening up to you. So, I mean, a lot of people just expect him to flip the table, leave the room, and scream at him and say he hates him and he never wants to talk to him again. Well, love changes that. When you love somebody, it's different, especially between parents and their children. If my parents told me that, yeah, I wouldn't agree with what they did, but I'd be like, oh my God. And then my heart would be sitting there breaking because I'm never going to see them outside of prison again. You see dead people, you take some Tylenol to help sleep, and I see Freddie K. Careful with that Tylenol, Wendy. What made CW do what he did is still doesn't make sense. Poor babies. Well, that's what this other channel is very interesting, because it seems to be leading towards the first confession. What do you guys think of his first confession? Real life interactions with their deal like his parents did. Who are they to judge that? Well, they just see, it's like they want to put their anger on anybody involved or anybody that cares about him. There are people that still care about him, that were in his life. You have to understand that. No one knows how Shanann and the Watts got on. Maybe it was nothing more than a personality clash. That's what it sounded like to me. And that's, I mean, pretty normal for in-laws, especially, you know, you always see stories of a monster-in-law and the daughter-in-law. A lot of times it's the females. Sometimes it's the men, but you see that a lot. So when you're in a fight with somebody and you think that they're a bad person, or maybe you think they mistreat your son, their wife, or vice versa, and then all of a sudden they're not here anymore. They either pass away from an accident or get killed. Think of how you would feel. Does that change the interactions you had with that person? Does it change the fights you had with them or the tension? It'd probably make you say, damn, I maybe wish I would have got to know them a little bit better. But it doesn't take away the relationship that you had. Lots of people here on YouTube fight. Think about somebody on YouTube that you don't like right now, that you really don't get along with. If something like this happened to them tomorrow, how would you feel? Would you cry really hard? How would you feel? I completely agree with that. And I don't see why would people ignore that? It's a tragedy for anybody that was involved with these people, that anybody that knew them. And it's incredibly frustrating that people, I mean, people get attacked just by talking about this on here. I have. I probably will just by voicing my opinion now about it. Can you imagine what his parents also go through? And we know her parents also have been through crap on here. What about his parents? Why does everybody push them to the side? Like they're nothing, like they're evil. That's a very narrow-minded way to think, in my opinion. Bingo, Loopy. Every parent's going to believe their child and think they're perfect. I would believe my daughter is over anyone else. And you also have to think about the relationship they had with them. In their minds, they didn't have good interactions with her. So his first confession to people that said, how dare them believe him? Well, they did. What if they did? We didn't see what they saw. Hey, Francesca. The first confession, you always believed it. AJ, I have too. And you know what? I have mixed feelings at this point. I'm back and forth all the time. Because they're so, right when you think, oh, okay, yeah, it's over, whatever, then you hear something else and you look into it and it starts to make sense. And then you're blamed for that. Oh, how dare you? The police did their work. Didn't you read the discovery? Didn't you do this? Yeah, well, I also believe in like gut intuition as well, which has been correct a lot. It was correct when my boyfriend was cheating on me in porn and I knew it. I didn't know he was doing it in porn, but I knew he was cheating on me, just like Shanann probably had that intuition. So we don't know everything. Only God knows everything. But to shut people down who, I mean, personally, in my opinion, for his parents to talk, I think they're very brave, because I see a lot of hate for them. And in my opinion, it's for no reason at all, except projecting anger somewhere else where it doesn't belong. I imagine they feel tremendous guilt and wonder why they did what they did wrong along the way. And people throw that in their face a lot. Hope you're good, Eric. Me too, Kim. I'm conflicted about what happened, but I am not conflicted about her parents, his parents, and attacking them for speaking their experience. Look, you guys are the ones interested in listening to the parents talk. You click on the interviews and you listen to them, but you want them to say what you want what you want to hear. So if they got up there and said, yeah, we loved Shanann, everything was perfect, everything was great, our son is a monster, but they didn't mean that, then you would call them a liar. No, they didn't. They're a liar. They're lying. No, they didn't. So when they get up and say the truth and say, yeah, he said she was evil, we didn't get along with her, and they just speak the truth, then you nail them to the cross for that? I don't think so. Hey, Truthy. Hey, Sandra. How you doing tonight, Sandra? If my child committed such a heinous crime, I would stay off the media. Well, I mean, you'd probably want to hide, right? But these people, you know, with them talking about the appeal or whatever the hell happens, they do have the right to do that. And I think it's wrong to attack them for it. And then get up there, and there was a creator today mocking even the way his dad talks. Why do you got to do that? Why do you got to be a dick? Keep it simple. Look at him on the porch, Robbie. Look at how cool he was. Let's say she did it for a moment. No way a loving dad could do what he did to their bodies or act that way. No way. And with that being said, that brings me to the part where I don't know if you guys watched on this channel. However, they were talking about, he was saying that, you know, Chris said that he thought Shanann was so evil, that's why he separated their bodies when he put them, the girls in the tanks and Shanann in the ground. Now, the dad's just talking about, you know, his interactions with Chris and this whole appeal thing that's going on and stuff. And that's why he said he did it. So in his parents' opinion, from what I'm led to believe from this interview, is they still believe the first confession. So if they're in that frame of mind, then they're not going to see him as a complete monster. Yeah, it is crazy. Let's say his first confession was right. He should have called the police if that was the case. But like he said in the interview room, you know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Well, you know, a lot of people, and look, I lean towards the first confession sometimes. I know a lot, that's an unpopular opinion, but I lean towards that one a lot. And then sometimes I don't. They do, yeah, they all have different heartaches. You said it, Maria. They're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. I think NK had some kind of involvement, but to what degree, I'm not sure. What I think he's trying to appeal now. I think that she knew more than she's saying. I don't think she was I don't know if I think she was involved. I'm still up in the air on that one. I go back and forth all the time. All the time. Since you're investigating with your buddy, I'm straight up. Believing we don't know everything and many people have been involved in this tragic situation, I believe Chris was influenced and possessed and encouraged by the police to confess. Well, yeah. He passed that part of the polygraph test and they like tricked him and said he didn't when he did. So that right there, I mean, yeah, that may be a tactic to get a confession out of somebody, but it's not an honest tactic. It's a pretty big one, if you ask me. Well, I don't believe what he says either, Axel. I mean, that's pretty hard to believe somebody who's a compulsive liar like that, who changes their story over and over. I didn't realize either side was being bashed. You didn't? Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, mainly, I see, well, both, but I see his family get a lot of shit. A lot. Basically, like, people are just, they take all their anger from that they have towards Chris and they throw it in their direction, say, they're liars, they're hateful. How could they say mean stuff about her and all this? Well, because they didn't have good interactions with her. They didn't. I don't think they've been disrespectful. That's in my opinion. I don't think they've been disrespectful. They've just said their interactions. We'll tell the story of what truly happened. Time will tell with the 35C. Yeah, and a lot of people keep saying, it's not going to happen. Well, time will tell. A real trial would bring truth. Oh, you think so? The people that were involved, etc., to light. Hey, LB. Can you imagine that kind of trial? And then, you know, people say since there was no trial, this appeal can't work since it wasn't a trial. In my personal opinion, screw what my old drag queen friend used to say. Fuck what you heard. If new evidence were to come out or something, I mean, that's that. So whether he would get off or not, at least the truth would still come out. Hopefully, you would hope so, right? You don't understand how the R's talk on YouTube. They get support even when bashing people. But when the W's come on and give their opinion, they're the worst people ever, and they're both victims. Unless they were involved, yeah, which they're not. I mean, as of right now, people say theories all the time. I don't think either one would be involved. People come up with crazy theories. But, you know, to people who actually believe the first confession, why are they like, you're a horrible person. How dare you? Well, shit. Let people think with their own minds. It's not like, look, people would say, well, that's victim bashing, right? Well, not if you don't see that person as the full victim. If people saw the situation as the first confession would have gone, then you wouldn't see that person as the complete victim. So you're not really. But people are quick to say, no, they're victim bashers. Well, listen to what they're saying. They're not, it's not right to call them that because that's not what they're doing. A lot of people served many years in prison and get out after new evidence is presented. Yeah, and then AJ, a lot of people say, well, they had a trial. They had a trial, so that's the way that appeal works. Something triggered Chris CW, and that was who knows. Well, and then, you know, he does say that he had been planning on killing them for a while. He had the idea planted in his head. When I look at their relationship, the way that they interacted with each other and the way that, you know, they talked and stuff, it is clear that she was the alpha. I mean, just my opinion from an outside perspective looking in. And in my opinion, I think men or women can be mentally abused, pushed to their limits, you know, a lot of held up aggression. So who knows? Yeah, he was probably thinking about it. And if his first confession wasn't true and he just killed everybody, then yeah, I mean, it's possible his lid just blew. But then if it happened with the first confession, see, this is why I go back and forth. Because if it went the way of the first confession, then shit just hit the fan quickly and he didn't know what the hell to do. How about YouTubers who disparage other YouTubers for making money of the tragedy while shoveling in money at the same time talk about being a hypocrite? I heard that tonight. I was interested to hear this person's opinion and I was highly disappointed. Aussie Flag says nothing triggered CW. Ronnie and Cindy are crazy like CW, sickening and disgusting. And I wouldn't put it past Ronnie helping the cover up. Remember, they will do anything for little Chris. I disagree with that. I don't see them as being the type of people to cover up. I think they're wanting to believe their son. And I think, you know, they've seen the interactions. They've interacted with their son and with Shanann, and they've interacted and they've been involved with these people. They've have a history with them. So it's not so far off for them to believe the first confession, because maybe they saw her that way, and I can't blame them if they did. So again, that's my opinion. CW is not the first family annihilator. Well, it's crazy how this case, people, we cannot stop talking about it. We obsess over it. We think about it all the time because there's so many different. Look, if I just believed it was done and over, I'd be like, screw it, move on, don't talk about it. But I don't. That's my opinion. I don't. Clearly, something is off. Clearly, there's something. There's something they're not telling us. How does anyone deal with this mess? I feel sorry for the Watts. I do. I feel sorry for both. I feel sorry that the Watts, his parents, get so much anger and hatred towards them, calling them monsters and stuff. What trait or what action have they done that would make them a monster to be looked at as you would look at CW as a murderer? I haven't heard of any of them hurting anybody, killing anybody, anything like that. So I don't agree with that. Just jumping the gun and saying they're terrible, horrible monsters because they're the parents of someone who did something like this. Do I think Scott Peterson killed Lacey? I have not followed that case as closely as this one. I have, you know, watched stuff and read stuff on that case, but it didn't hit home as close, literally, as this one did. So I don't have an opinion on that. Even if he is 100% guilty, why is it on to abuse his family? Yeah, because people say, well, they raised him this way, or they raised him without feelings or emotions. So are you saying everybody that doesn't have feelings or emotions, if they did something horrible, that it is absolutely their parents' fault? One thing that Ronnie said in this interview, that I see him as a really calm person, which it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but my dad is really funny and really like outgoing and talkative to everybody. But in situations that get crazy, you know, my dad's been there for physical fights of people, to, you know, clean up messes of lots of different stuff. Never murder. I mean, we did have a murderer living with me. I shared a room with a murderer. He tied a guy up and blew his blew his head off. And then the cops came to our door because he lived with us months before that. We dealt with stuff like that. My dad has always been very calm in any situation. And I've seen him cry a few times. And so I think that's why when I watched that interview and I watch Chris in that room talking to his dad, I kind of like I said, I put myself in the shoes of other people. And I picture, what if I told my dad something like that? My dad would be there to listen, and he'd be like, oh my God, really? Like, how are we going to get out of this? Or how are we going to deal with this? But he would still love me. And I mean, a lot of you have children. I don't. I have parents, so I know how it would go in that situation. So would you really completely abandon your children and just shut them out? Sure, Nikki. This channel and says he tells the truth to his dad, right? Yeah, in this interview, again, he said Chris told him he wished he had gone to the Rockies game in the car from the airport. So if that's the case, sorry, I was trying to connect your morning, Katrina. So if that's the case and Shanann did it, how would him not going to the game would have changed that? Please explain. Well, Nikki, I also have a theory that the night before, that I, in my personal opinion, think that that hole could not have been dug that morning, in my opinion. As far as the game part, look, I think Chris has made a lot of excuses. I think there's a lot of things that he's not saying. I think he is very calm and reserved, just almost emotionless. Well, I don't even want to use the word emotionless, even though a lot of people are like, oh, he's heartless. No, I think he didn't even really show a lot of emotion when he was happy, like expression. That's the word for it. So I think anything that he says is to be taken with a grain of salt, because a lot of it is lies. And I think even when he tells the truth, Nikki, I think he still adds lies to the truth, to make a story more interesting, or maybe not to make him look as bad. But in my opinion, if the theory is that his first confession was not true, I think that he was digging a hole the night before. I think the whole, this is my opinion. I have to keep saying this is my opinion. Okay, Nikki. If I go to a restaurant and I had a babysitter, which would mean you're on a time limit, right? Because you have a younger babysitter that probably has to get home at a reasonable hour. If I showed up at one restaurant, at a Lazy Dog or any restaurant, and they didn't have something maybe that my friend or my date or even myself, they don't have it on the menu, let's go to another one. No. No, bitch. We're on a time limit. I have a babysitter and we're having an affair. Okay. And we're in public where we could get caught. In my opinion, the only reason to move from one Lazy Dog to another is if you run into somebody that maybe you didn't want to see there. The other one is that it's complete bullshit and some holes were being dug. One hole. Just my opinion on that. Hey, Jojo. I don't always catch you live as in the UK's, but hey, Jojo. I did see anger in his expression in the family videos. Frustration. I saw, because, and I don't know if it's because I'm a man, and no, and I hate saying this out loud, but it's my opinion. I've been in relationships where I have been not so much the alpha and was kind of told what to do, not like bossed around, but was more the one where I was like, okay, whatever, like take out the trash, do this, do that, or you're not doing this right, or you're not, just someone complaining all the time about anything that I did was just not right. Now, I was cheating on this person, by the way, multiple times. And I couldn't tell them because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. They were very emotional and very, hey, sweet pea, just overbearing and pretty controlling. Now, I was not cheating on them. It was not their fault that I was cheating on them. I was cheating on them because my communication skills sucked. And I couldn't just say, you know what, fuck you. And they drove me nuts. I felt pushed into a corner so many times. So I don't want to say that I've been in his shoes as far as the bad part of the situation, but I have in the parts leading up to it. And I felt trapped. I used to lay there at nighttime and be like, God, this is hell. Why am I going through this misery? Why do I have to be stuck in a relationship where I feel like I can't be myself? I can't do things that I like. Everything has to be in place. Before I go to bed, everything has to be straightened. Even the towels in the bathroom. If I dried my hands off incorrectly, you didn't straighten the towel. You didn't wipe the little speck of water off the sink. Shit like that. And just degraded and cut down all the time for shit that I would do, that I was just used to doing as being me, comfortable me. So I have been in the position of being treated like shit. That's no reason to kill anybody. But I have been in that position, and I can relate to that. And I can relate to my parents getting along with this person and then not getting along with them. And yeah, my parents didn't know that I was cheating on him. So when we would get in fights about it and he would get angry, my parents would just see his anger and see him as the bad person, not me, because I wasn't being honest with my parents either. So let's say I was to kill that person and then tell my parents, oh yeah, no, and we had a dog. Let's say I killed the dog too. And then what if I went and told my parents, hey, you know what? He killed the dog, so I killed him. My parents would believe me because all the shit that they saw us fighting and stuff. So exactly. It's not a reason to kill anybody. It's not. But emotional abuse or, relationships suck. They're hard. When you're staring at the ceiling at night, in bed at night next to your partner thinking this will never work, you're probably right. Murder isn't an option. Leaving is. Yeah, there were nights where I couldn't even breathe. I'd lay there because I just felt suffocated. And it wasn't their fault. It was mine. But I just didn't have the communication skills to get out. Hold on a minute. Okay, sorry. I was reading a text. So, in my opinion, bad things happen to good people. And sometimes good things happen to bad people. Or then vice versa. Bad things, bad people. Good things, good people. So, you're one of my favorite people. I respect you and open to listen to anything you have to say. Same here. I'll listen to anything. As I am the Watts or anyone else, no need for the attacks. They are not responsible for the murders. Yeah, and I have a lot of good discussions with people that disagree, not only with this, with tons of other things. But I was going to talk about this later, but I was driving home listening to this interview and then listening to another creator talk about it. And just such an evil, mean way. Basically, almost like holding these people responsible for the murders. And I don't think that's right. And just discrediting anything and everything they said. Well, they said this was stupid, this was dumb, this was dumb, this was dumb. Okay, well, that was still what they said. That's the way they see the world in the situation. We've established Shanann wasn't perfect. Now what? The end result is still the same. And I think people are afraid to say that out loud. That's why I try to say it in the most respectful way possible. That she wasn't perfect. Neither, obviously, he wasn't either. And there's no reason for violence or murder in those situations. But how come we're not allowed to talk about how relationships... Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to say it. Their relationship sucked. You can tell just by their body language and seeing the way they interacted with each other. Hey, Sky Maiden. And in my personal opinion, I think she was kind of in control of everything. And you can tell, like someone was saying, you could tell he looked angry in those videos. I don't think he looked angry. I think he looked like he wanted to scream at the top of his lungs, get me the fuck out of here. And he went about it in the complete wrong way. So, we often, when somebody passes away, what do people do? They go up at the funeral and they do a speech. They talk about them and how amazing they were. And they're just such a perfect human being, but none of us are. Nobody is. So that's why I'm saying, when you don't get along with somebody and then they pass away, it's so sad but true to say this, but you're not automatically going to see that person as an angel or a perfect human being. Yeah, you're probably going to have some shitty feelings like, damn, I wish I would have been more nice and could have worked it out. And maybe you're not going to feel that at all. Hey, Mary, I hope you're all healed and everything. Mary was sick for a while. Hope you're doing good, Mary. I don't think people feel it excuses what Chris did when we look at what Shanann did wrong. And how come we're not allowed to look at every angle of the relationship or the situation? Because when you do, I mean, it is like walking on eggshells, because you're talking about somebody who's murdered. So you want to do it in the most respectful way possible. But if you're looking at a situation like this in an honest way from all perspectives, you're going to come across some unpopular opinions, and it's scary to talk about them. But they should be talked about, because why can't all angles be talked about? That's how we get to the truth, right? People should be open-minded, in my opinion, and look at cases from all sides. That's what I have to say as a lawyer. Oh, so I don't understand why people are always coming at me for just trying to be reasonable. That's the only way to look. Being open-minded and being open to all points of views is the way you're going to get to the truth. If you're only looking at one-sided stuff, how are you going to get all the facts? You're only listening to one part of them. And they might not even be all the fact at all. Some people lack very good critical thinking skills. There's nothing wrong with deep diving into a relationship and analyzing it. Well, that's where it started. That's where this whole situation started, is in a relationship. So you're going to look at both sides of that relationship and say, okay, I think this is maybe what went wrong here and here and here. On both parts, not just one. It's hard to do criticizing anything that she might have done in the relationship because you feel bad about it because she's not here anymore. But it's important to look at both sides. Could never lead a family. Chris is a follower and Shanann is a leader. I agree with she was a leader and he is a follower. Yeah. I think that's the problem. There wasn't really it didn't seem, in my opinion, like there was really a bond to where it was okay for it to be that way. Because again, you could kind of see it on both of their faces, just facial expressions, the way people act around each other or talk to each other, physically, especially if it's on a public platform. You can tell, people clean up the way they treat each other. And you could normally tell if people have some tension between them, the way they're talking, stuff like that. Why do you think Shanann got rid of her ex-husband but stayed with Chris? I have no idea. Because relationships suck. That's why. They don't all work out. In my opinion, marriage ruins marriages. But I've never been married. Because I'd probably ruin a marriage. I'm designed to be single. Hey, Jojo. Hey, Jane. Badly of the deceased, I was not there. None of us were. It's a tragic situation for both families. I do believe that the more individuals could be involved, the police were not exactly straight up. Yeah, and unfortunately, I really don't think the full truth will ever be. God knows. But it should be okay and encouraged for people to seek the truth. And in order to do that, you're going to have to think some pretty unpopular, unwelcome thoughts in your head. And you're going to feel like shit about it. But you have to explore all angles. You're designed for marriage? Oh, you're not? Yeah, I'm definitely not. Proudly. I just like I like me too much. I've always been with people that feel like I don't want to say they've made me feel like I'm not good enough, but made me feel like I need to change certain things about myself, which I did. I didn't need to cheat on people. I definitely worked on my communication skills. Now my communication skills are better, but my communication skills are good enough for me to say, I don't want a relationship. Instead of thinking that in my head and not expressing that to people and getting in a relationship. Like Amy said, Chris wore a mask. I wore a mask in my last relationship, and I loved him very much. The guy I was in a relationship with. Yeah, I think Shanann wore a mask too, because they didn't show us everything. Not couples usually don't show the world what's going on. You know, you want things to work, and you don't want people to think poorly of your spouse. I mean, sometimes you do if you want to drag them, but you don't want people to think completely poorly about them. So you just kind of keep things personal, but some things are obvious. Didn't she cheat on her first husband and refuse marriage counseling like Chris did with her? I don't know. I've never heard that until you just said that, Kim. So I don't know. Even friendships, AJ, huh? We know that. And I still love you, AJ. Chris didn't say things he should have said, but later he does the most violent thing, so I believe his balance was way off. I mean, I want to say I couldn't imagine how he felt, but I kind of can. Just not the murder part. I mean, think about it. When you cheat and you're not honest, there's something that you're trying to save. Maybe it's somebody's feelings. Maybe it's your reputation. Maybe it's you don't want your mistress or your mistress to get beat up by your spouse. You're protecting something, or you just be honest about it. What truthy? Mrs. Magoo is a lady of all repute and a shameless philanderer? Huh? Huh? I have no fucking idea what that means. Phalangerine. Phalangerine, isn't it a vagina? A phalangerine? I used to call it that when I was younger, a phalangerine. I don't come to channels that are nothing but an echo chamber. It's not intellectually stimulating for me. Yeah, I don't like that close-minded, if you disagree, you must leave point of view, because then you're really just thinking one way, and what if it's the wrong way? But you're just thinking that because you're being told to think that. Okay, I have to mute when I say hey. Or wait. What does philanderer mean? She ignored me. Siri ignored me. Hold on. It's going to bug me if I don't Google this. Philanderer. Philanderer. A man who readily or frequently enters into casual sexual relationships with women. Womanizer, womanizer, woman, you're a womanizer. It's a womanizer. Bastard. Hey, Lionel Rich T. That's one of the coolest names on YouTube. Is a man who enters into casual sexual relationships. I'll take it. Hello from cold Colorado. A lot of people only focus on CW putting the kids in the holes. What if it wasn't him who put them in the oil tanks? My mind, okay. this is why I don't like going to that house too. I'm told often that I'm empathetic or have empath. I get headaches in big crowds. I feel tension very easily from other people. Negative energies from other people just make me feel icky and gross and stupid. I just hate it. And I often stay in a good mood all the time, but if somebody else, if I'm around I love you too, Nikki Rex. If I'm around a pessimist, that's got to be one of my biggest pet peeves. And I know I complain sometimes, but when somebody always looks on the dark side of stuff, like you could complain, but then give an option of maybe a way you can fix it, right? So I feel like I absorb those people's feelings very easily and just feel it even without any words. And anytime I've been at that house, you get a feeling there, right? And so I try to have that sympathy and that, understanding that the first confession wasn't true. And I think of all of the victims involved, and I find it hard to have sympathy for some angles of it. And it's because I get weird feelings from that house of different things that might have happened with the first confession. And I don't like it because it makes me feel like shit. And that's my honest opinion. I tried to say that as nicely as possible, but that's how I feel. And then, of course, I have lots of other theories in my head and stuff, and I think it's important to talk about them, but it's hard to do that without looking like an asshole sometimes. Hello in Scotland, Elizabeth. Hello. I don't blame them for the murders. It disgusts me how they treat him like the victim. And that's understandable. I think when we use the word victim as far as Chris being a victim and his parents thinking that, I think, let's say that his parents believe that he did all of this by himself or planned it. Intuitive, AJ. Let's say that they believe that. And let's say, they know the relationship that built up to this and they knew how it happened. And maybe they feel sorry for him. Like, God, if he, damn it, why did he have to do it this way? The relationship was terrible. Maybe, they told him to get out, whatever. Because they said, Ronnie said in this interview, this isn't a direct quote, but it was something along that they were already aware that they were looking to sell the house and separate. So if they already knew, and maybe they were even excited for their son for this to happen, okay, starting over, getting away from a toxic relationship. And then they were probably like, why did he have to go that route? He could have got out. He could do this. So they probably, if they were aware that they were going to separate, they were probably optimistic that there was going to be a new life and a new start. And that didn't happen. So that excitement went from here to crashed all the way down because now his whole entire life is in prison. So I think if they see him as a victim, I think people maybe are misunderstanding that, they're seeing him as a victim as he's just the complete victim in this situation. No, I think if he's a victim, he was a victim of using his emotions the wrong way and not doing what he should have done. And he went the complete opposite route. So I think, as him being their son, they feel sorry for him because he could have went about this in a smart way. He could have got a divorce, a separation. And they probably have this huge disappointment and feel sorry for him that he went the stupid, fucking ignorant route. They knew Chris wanted out. He forgot to tell Shanann. Amen to that, Aussie. He sure the hell did. Hey, Jacqueline. And MK wanted to give him his first son, and she had a girl. Did I hear this correctly in this interview? I don't know if all of you listened to it. Did I hear this correctly that his father said that NK has a son by somebody named Chris? Did I hear that incorrectly? Or was that just because I was listening to it in the car, and I always listen on fast speed because I'm impatient? Who had a girl? Chris wants to check out of Dodge. Well, I don't see that happening, but I would hope that whatever happens with what's going to happen in the next stages, that it has a little bit more of the truth in it. That'd be nice, huh? He gave her false hope by agreeing to counseling. Yeah, and that was a dick move, throwing that book in the trash too. That right there shows you, by throwing that book in the trash, shows you that there was this anger that he felt, just this fuck you anger, evil anger. Because to do that after you kill somebody, I mean, that shows a lot of hatred towards the relationship and that person. I always wondered why CW didn't dig the hole deeper when he was putting Shanann in there, like almost as it was done in a rush. Then he leaves the bed sheets nearby. Yeah, and apparently, you know, the way that Ronnie says it is he wanted to separate them because of the first confession, because he felt like she was evil and she didn't deserve to be with the girls. What do you guys think about that? I have mixed feelings about that too. You hate CW? And Kay had a baby girl who is now 19 months old. Elizabeth, did I hear correctly that he was saying that she had the baby with another person named Chris? Stick a fork in Chris Watts' case. He's never getting out. It's over. I don't think he's ever getting out, but I think that there's something huge coming. That's what I truly believe. And I always have. Always. He put the book in the trash was to show the police she was done with the marriage. That's pretty deep and pretty sick. I mean, enough damage was done. I think you proved you were done with the marriage. Ronnie asked for proof of paternity regarding Nico. He was told the father was Chris, but apparently SW had a boyfriend called Chris. What? Like on the side? I don't. Like, what? Like she was cheating on him with a guy named Chris? Is that what you're saying? Wow. Yeah, because when I heard that in the car, I was like, are you kidding me? There was more than one hole dug. So, was the other hole as deep as the other one? Do you think he was just planning to put them all in the ground and just ran out of time and came up with a piece of shit idea about the tanks? Yeah, and if you guys didn't watch this interview, she did part 1 and part 2. I just recently, I subscribed to this channel, the one that I pinned in the comment in the chat. And I hadn't listened to any of it until I heard another creator talking about the Ronnie Watts interview, which I'm extremely always interested when I hear his family has the opportunity to talk, because they deserve the opportunity to talk. Oh, you don't believe it, Secure Girl? She had the book mailed to him while she was in North Carolina. Shanann had a friend, Chris, on the Thrive trips. Oh, okay. I don't think he cared. I don't believe he felt anything. I think he had a really poor way of expressing himself. I don't think he expressed himself ever until that morning. That's what I think. Ronnie is trying to say that the detective said that Chris is the father, and Ronnie asked, what Chris? Shanann had a friend at Thrive called Chris, and they're trying to say he is the father of Nico. I don't know if I don't know what to think about that. I don't think I believe that. But then again, I mean, I'm just hearing it, so I don't have an opinion on that. Don't you think if he was profoundly found God that he would have told the whole truth by now? Last good guy mask he can wear now that he has found God is all he has left. That's a good point, Nikki. And I think I found God many different times in my life. First time that I truly found Christ, I was very young after my uncle died, and I was cussing and screaming at God, and he showed me amazing, miraculous signs and miracles. And that kind of led me to build a relationship with him. It wasn't based on the Bible. It wasn't based on that. It was just my interactions with God and then adding God's word into it. And God's word makes sense a lot of the time. So I think if you're a murderer, I think if you're Chris Watts and you had a first confession and then you changed your mind and said something else, and then you go to prison and probably have a huge fear of God at this point, because all you really have is fear and a cell to talk to God and to read the Bible. I don't, in my personal opinion, I don't think anybody is off limits from having a relationship with Christ. And I think if he did find a relationship with Christ, whether he did or not, I mean, I think a fear of God like that is a spark to build a relationship with Christ, in my opinion, because you're scared. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to go to hell. I want to repent. And one thing that bugs me that people say is, oh, they're just scared, so they went to God. That's usually what brings people to God, is the fear of God or having fear. What do we do when we're worried? When we're having a good time in life is usually when we separate from God. Everybody, even non-believers, soon as you're going through a hard time, maybe cancer hits your family, maybe murder, tragedy, whatever, all of a sudden we're on our knees praying, God, please help me, please, please, please. So why should Chris Watts be any different from seeking salvation? So I don't know him or his relationship with God, but I will say, if he truly found a relationship with Christ and he's sticking with his first confession now, that kind of speaks volumes to me, because maybe he's like, okay, I don't want to lie anymore. So if that was the truth, then maybe he's like, no, I'm not going with the second confession. I'm getting right with my life, with the Lord, and I want to tell the truth. Now, I'm not saying the first confession is the truth, but maybe that's what is the truth. That is his truth. So maybe that's why he's sticking with that. That's just what I think about that. Amen to that, Audrey. Yes, he does. And a lot of people seem to forget that. Well, he did this or they did that. No. Nobody is off limits from forgiveness. That may be really hard to believe, but a lot of people are unforgiving. And I know this is a really hard thing to forgive. But I said a long time ago, I forgive him. I forgive anybody. We all deserve to grow and to change. And he does too. Everybody does. There's no atheists on the battlefield. I'm so sorry about that, Terry. And I will say a special prayer for you tonight. No, but people discriminate. I love how people... No, I don't love how people... They'll throw someone's religion in their face, which I get all the time. And then they'll say all these other things and judge and judge and judge. And they can't do that. They can't be a good Christian if this or that. Well, the whole point of walking with Christ, in my opinion, is that I'm not perfect and I need Christ so that I could try to be the best person I can. And I can't do that without Christ. I've tried before. I've tried praying to other God's names and stuff. And the reason why I built my relationship with Christ was because Christ was the only person that ever answered when I used their name in prayer. And I'm not just saying just answered, but miraculous, crazy stuff. Amazing stuff. I love ghost hunting too. Sure, but he is sticking to it, Robbie. We haven't heard it from him still. Have I missed something? I have not heard right now from CW's mouth that Shanann did it. I do understand what you are saying. No, you have a good point there, Nikki. You're right. And I think that's why there's a lot of emotions and people saying, oh, well, these people are only talking about it because they want to make him look good, or this content creator that just came out, and basically some people think that his parents are paying this person to build this channel that I pinned or whatever. I mean, if we did hear it from his mouth, would we really believe him anyways? Can you say a prayer for me so I can be called back to heaven being an archangel? No, you're staying here. You're not going back until the rapture. I love him too much. Well, you're an angel too, Mrs. Magoo. Don't you forget it. Chris knew the night before he said it'd be the last time he'd be reading to the girls. Okay. Somebody said this and it really confused me. They said something of, was it coconut? Some person was leaving comments in my comment section saying, and I don't know if there's any truth to this at all, because I've never heard this until they left it in my comment section. They said that Bella told Cece they're not going to see each other again if they eat coconut when the babysitter was there. And then they said they found coconut candy wrappers in their sheets downstairs. I love you too, Mrs. Magoo. Has anybody else heard that, or was that just a crazy comment left in my comment section? He knew that morning that he was going to kill Shanann. Can you imagine how Shanann felt being in a relationship with somebody who changes their story so many times? Can you imagine all the excuses he came up with of why he's here or why he's there, what he's doing, and how crazy that may have made her? Because I know I've gone crazy in relationships when I've been cheated on and lied to. Being in love makes you crazy. That it just is a cold, hard truth in life. Relationships suck and they will make you go bonkers. It was a crazy comment. Okay, Ruby. It's really weird, the new people, because I feel we had tried to move on and not upset anyone. Then naturally new people are shocked. What do you guys think about this channel? Because there's many people saying, oh, well, now they're monetized and we don't know where they're using the money. Well, it's none of your business where the money of someone else's channel is going to. If you're monetized, no one's asking you where your money is going. So why are you asking somebody else where their money is going? In my opinion, NK knew Shanann would get a notification from the bank that credit card purchased the whole thing along, no turning back. Ooh, that's a good one. Perfectly imperfect. I think you're onto something with that. Kind of just like breaking the ice. Well, you're very easy to love. Well, Elizabeth, and that's why I'm in a little bit more calmer of kind of a triggered mood tonight, because it really does annoy me. I get very annoyed when I watch videos of people just criticizing his parents. It really pisses me off, and you don't know how to say it in a nice way. That the truth is, they didn't like her, but they have the right to not like her. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that, oh, you should all not like her, the victim, but they have the right to that. They had an experience with her. People make the assumption I give Kim a chance to show another. I give anybody a chance. But people are so quick to shut this person out. And I haven't not listened to her because of rumors. I get busy, and sometimes I just like to watch funny shit on YouTube. To be honest, I get sick of this case often, and then I go back when I think something else, and I'm like, because I do not think we know everything, and I think there's something big coming. Oh, well, thank you, Danielle. It's hard to say that you lean towards the first confession because then people think you're an asshole. But that's just, it's what I just lean more towards that. But I'm not 100% on that either. I'd say maybe like 58%, maybe 60. But that's just because I see things different than others, or maybe I haven't got all information somebody else has, or have you heard the same thing that I did, or do you think the same way I did? Like, that's why it's good to talk to people about it. You can talk to people you disagree with because you might learn something from them. I've learned a lot from people I disagree with. You don't like her presentation, plus that her comments are closed, but goes into another comments or chats to discuss. Very tacky. Yeah. I mean, maybe they just don't. Maybe they just would rather interact. Do they do live chats on their channel? Or is it all just posted videos? Because I don't see any lives. Maybe they just want to say what they have to say without having to argue with people. Because it is pretty controversial. But maybe they just want to do that without having the arguments along with it. Because it is a headache. I mean, I argue with people sometimes. I don't even know what the hell I'm arguing about because they're just pissed off and triggered. So can you imagine having an opinion like that, or coming on and bringing that information on in this community, a very protective community of this case? Celeste is very allergic to coconut oils or anything coconut in it eating wise. So there's no truth in wrappers being found, because I never heard anything like that until that comment. You say it in public, you don't get personal. Well, everybody expresses themselves differently. Can I say it? Will I be attacked? You can say anything you want to, Nikki. Will I be attacked? I'm fine with the parents speaking, no issue there. My thoughts on the creator, I don't get a good feeling from her at all, in my opinion. I just listen to everyone. Of course you could say that. And you said that like the most respectful way you could. Even if you said, no, I think she's a bitch. Well, that's your opinion. I respect that. Whatever. Prefer videos. Live chat can be really distracting and people clip you. Yeah, and maybe she just seriously doesn't have time to sit there and read comments, or doesn't want to. Because a lot of times comments can be really triggering. So I could only imagine people saying really mean shit in her comment section. Because, I mean, look at other creators who say horrible shit, lead people to say horrible shit. I say horrible shit about people a lot. When I start to shine, ain't nobody able to see. Chris was a beta, then a murderer. Then that's my last rant to get it out of my system. There you go, Mike. Did it feel good? That's another thing I wanted to talk about, was Ronnie was addressing, the Nutgate situation. And I guess how another creator was criticizing, saying Cindy's not allowed to go get to a salon for like 5 hours. Why the hell not? She's a grown woman. She could do what she wants. And she's not a babysitter. He said something along the lines of that brought up an issue that she was gone for 5 hours, and Shanann was upset about it, but they're like, well, we're not babysitters and stuff. We don't know all the interactions they had. Have you ever seen the movie Monster-in-Law with J-Lo and Jane Fonda? Is it Jane? Yeah, I always say Jane or Bridget, but Jane Fonda. And Kay didn't have her hooks in him yet. I think he just went with the flow. Yeah, clearly. Shanann asked the girls in Facebook videos often if they wanted another sibling. How did he keep his composure if Shanann had killed the girl? Surely he would have been brokenhearted and unconsolable. That is a very good point, Susan, and that's why I get conflicted sometimes. And then again, try to put myself in the shoes of each person in the situation. I'm sure if the first confession was true, Yeah, that's a good movie, Nikki. If the first confession was true, I'm sure he would have had a lot of anger in him. Like anger of, oh, fuck, she pissed me off. Then I snapped because she did this and now I'm going to go to prison for it. Oh, I'm going to put on a show. You know what I mean? No, I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm just saying, first of all, he didn't show a lot of emotion to begin with. There was probably a lot of shock, no matter what the case was, a lot of shock involved in that emotion and anger. But I have to use Sage to calm my anxiety down because I miss Shanann on Thrive. Oh, yeah. Didn't you say you were on her Thrive team? I think you told me that a few days ago. With you, Robbie, I thank God every day you're in my... You're going to make me cry. Just kidding. It's not that easy to make me cry, but that is very sweet. Commercials make me cry sometimes. Even if it's just a commercial I hear, I'm oh, God. It's fucking Hallmark commercials and shit. I did not deserve that. What happened? Oh, I thought you said I was like, what? Hey girl. Hey, Kristen. The first tits I ever saw in person were Jane Fonda's. But she's got a good rack. How'd you see her tits, though? Not in person, I'm assuming. Sandra's doing good. She is sleeping. She's sleeping off the rest of her medicine. I'm not giving her any more because it's been making her too sleepy and she's hit the 5-day mark. So we're going to see how she does without it. She's still very sleepy, though. CW is a narcissist. He doesn't know how to love. Do you think that can change? Do you think if he truly found the Lord that he's capable of Jesus changing him? Or I think we all can change no matter what. Ruby says, what if Chris did not do any of it? Well, shit. Well, then we're all punked. Was really good friends with Jane Fonda, and they always talk about Jane being at their house. So did you walk in on Jane Fonda and her tits? Or how'd you see her tits? Shanann doesn't make me come to this case. For me, it's the girls. I can wrap my head around that. Yes, and I had very unpopular opinion because as soon as I figured out this case, I went and I watched all of Shanann's videos, all of her live streams and stuff. And I formed an opinion on her behavior that's not so popular. Basically, she's not somebody that I would probably hang out with or be friends with. So if you say something like that, though, people are like, how dare you? I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. That's the truth of my opinion on the behavior that I saw. Just not my cup of tea. Nobody deserves what happened, though. End of story. But that is my opinion. And anybody's entitled to that. Sandra is doing good. I'm about to feed her some baby food before we go to bed. So let me see. I think that was all. Let me see if I had anything left on here. Oh, just like what I was just saying. I don't believe people are bad forever. And I don't believe people are good forever either. Anything is possible. Anything can change. Anything can make somebody wake up spiritually. Anything can happen. I can't stand when people say like, oh, people never change, or, well, if you're that mindset, you're not going to change yourself using that mindset, but eventually something's going to happen that you're going to change. That's what you're in life for. A lot of you tell me you're recovering addicts. Some of you, Katrina, I love you. Some of you tell me you're recovering addicts for 20 years, 5 years, 10 years. Do you mean to tell me that you're the same person now that you were back then? So who's to say Chris or anybody else isn't going to change in 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And then a lot of people say, well, he's just going to God to look good or for this. Well, let him, God is going to deal with all of us. God's going to deal with Chris too. What's going on with that Colorado series killer? Is there somebody I should be looking over my shoulder for here in Colorado? What's going on with that? I don't even know who that is, what that is. Hang on a second. Where? I hate when I don't look on my phone because then I got to scroll down a lot on there. There we go. I don't know what that is. I did opiates for 5 years and have been clean for 11 years now. Well, congratulations, Danielle. That's awesome. Hey, Des. Psycho Robbie. Shanann has to wear the trousers because I think Chris hadn't got a clue about finances and etc. I love you too, Katrina. I thought prisoners lied about finding God, and I'm sure some are lying. But on the other hand, prison is rock bottom. All you can do is look up from there. And that's what I was saying earlier, is I've caught myself throughout my life a lot. Now, my relationship with Christ is pretty healthy, but I'm dysfunctional. So I ruin that sometimes. Anytime I've caught myself, there was one time I was methed out in a hotel room naked and coming down finally and just got down on my knees and grabbed a Bible out of the dresser in the shitty motel room and just like screamed out to God. Because that was one of my rock bottoms at one point. Everyone's rock bottom is different. And the fear, having the fear of God, if you ever pray and say, God, please put the fear of God into me, you better be careful. Because he's going to put the fear of God into you, and it's not going to feel good. Aw, thank you, Katrina. I love you. Oh, I need to look up this Colorado killer. They found 3 bodies in his yard. That's Colorado for you. The fact that he wants everything released is very telling. Space Hopper, that's why I'm saying, people are like, well, it's done and this and that. Who cares if it's done? Who cares if he already got his sentencing and stuff? I want to see what they have to say. Colorado. I once had a stream that I think the altitude in Colorado, because if you look, this is a little side note. If you look at the serial killers that have murdered here in Colorado, almost every single one of them have been from a different state. Then they move here and they go bonkers. Now, if you don't know, Denver is the mile-high city, meaning that we are 1 mile above sea level. Oh, my God, hypoxia, I think that's what it's called, is something that you get. It's like in your brain, something that happens when you're at a high altitude and the lack of oxygen to the brain. So people that are born here, like I'm used to the altitude. When people come out here on vacation or I've gone to concerts, Christina Aguilera has mentioned how she can't breathe and she can't perform correctly out here. She gets out of breath. Sarah Bareilles, Rob Thomas said that when he came because he performed at Red Rocks, which is even higher in the mountains. People complain about not being able to breathe, and that can cause lack of oxygen to the brain. Momo's the scariest. And if you think about it, maybe that can cause people to go a little bit cuckoo. Look up every person that's been a serial killer here and see if they're from Colorado. Even Patrick Frazee, I think he's not from here. We looked that up. Chris isn't from here. James Holmes isn't from here. Look into it. Hypoxia. I believe that's the name of it. Sorry, that was a little side rant. Yeah, marriage and me, I'd rather sleep in bed and be gassy all night and be comfortable with that. Marriage makes you bloated and you can't release it. Makes you all gassy so you're in pain. Ugh. You got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night just to fart. No, thank you. I really have to go to bed. I just popped in here because I saw you were on, Robbie. You know, I love watching you and Mexi. I especially enjoy your giant eyes when you get scared. Aw, Des, I hope you have good rest. Don't tempt fate. I am from Colorado. But see, I'm used to the altitude here already. So it doesn't mess with me. Messes with all the cuckoos that come here from other areas that are basically at sea level. I think James Holmes is from California. Don't quote me. Watts is from the East Coast where there's an ocean or close to it. I don't know if the ocean was in his town that he was in, but that's pretty damn close. So you're at that level, right? And then you come here and it all gets screwed up. All that oxygen just goes to your brain and screws everything up. And then marriage does too. I'm not saying every marriage just isn't for me. I'll leave it at that. Maria, were you the one that said that about Truthy the other day too? Because somebody was like, God, this guy knows everything. He does. He's a smart guy. Brain bubbles. That's a good word for it. Your daughter got sick going to Colorado. Yeah, it's called hypoxia. Hypoxia is a condition in which the body or the region of the body is deprived of adequate oxygen supply at the tissue level. Now watch what it can make you do. It even says like hallucinations, symptoms, numbness, pins and needles, feeling of extremities, risk factors, diabetes, coronary artery disease, heart attack, stroke, embolism, thrombosis, don't know what that is, deep vein thrombosis, or tobacco smoking. Now, what is the, I want to get to the, no, not the sociological, the generalized symptoms, fatigue, nausea. Oh, here we go. This is the extreme symptom of it. It's called cerebral hypoxia. And this can make you, I think this is signs and symptoms. Here we go. I think this is saturation. Where is it at? Fainting, coma, cessation of brainstem reflexes, and brain death, and short-term memory. So if that can cause you to do that, how come it can't just cause you to go absolutely batshit crazy? After how long he was here? Well, some people just don't adjust. Some people come here and end up having to leave because they can't take the altitude. It's too much for them. Gives them headaches or they can't breathe, stuff like that. That John Denver wasn't lying ass. I've been in Denver. Someone had a seizure in the bar back when they still allowed smoking. It was a strange place, but I'm pretty used to higher altitude. Gassy but sassy. I like that. Aren't we all? What word? Hypoxia? I lived in London, Ontario, Canada, and a lot of serial killers came out of London, Ontario. Look it up. London, Ontario, altitude. London elevate. No, not London. Hold on. Is the altitude high there? Hi, Marie. Hey, Tina. Much love to you. Altitude sickness is, that's the common name. Epoxia resin. Morning, Felicia. Cordell. Oh, you just got to work. Well, I hope you have a lovely day at work. I'm ending my night. I'm about to go take a shower. Are you suggesting that there was another ghost face killer involved in these murders? It's very different at that altitude. Thinner air, I remember that too. I would have never known about more blood, though. Thanks. You're worried about Mexi? The last time he was at the house, he was being attacked spiritually. Yeah, he got pretty emotional. Ooh, there's my sexless lover, DeRosa's show. Hey, Frank. I love Frank. You're always so nice and welcoming and loving. If you guys don't ever go to Frank's shows, you should. DeRosa's channel. He's very chill and very nice. He reminds me of David Arquette with a manly voice, because David Arquette does not have a manly voice. David Arquette, he's always like, talking like this, sort of like shy. You can't even really understand what he's saying because he talks like this and he smiles all the time. DeRosa talks like a man. But he looks like David Arquette. I love you, DeRosa. DeRosa, do you still have 2 channels or is it just the one? Sorry, did anybody say the elevation of London, Ontario? Are you going to do another paranormal investigation at the Watts house? No, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to. I've been there enough. I have no reason to go there, except there's one reason. When my friend Nicole comes out, I always told her that I'll go by there with her. A weak voice, a weak man, in my opinion. So strange. David Arquette's just so goofy. I mean, he's silly, kind of cute, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Do you guys, is Sandra moving back there? She's still sleeping. I'm a rat. Do you think Chris will get a trial if you? Well, that's the thing. A lot of people, good night, Sandra. A lot of people are saying they can't because he's already been sentenced and there was no trial. So they're saying this 35C can't even take place, period. Okay, I'm putting DeRosa's channel in the chat. Great guy. If you like David Arquette and manly men, good mix. Good mix. Plus DeRosa's funny. Okay, I'm going to look this up before we get off of here. The elevation, Siri just wasn't having it. Elevation of London, Ontario. 823 feet. That's not elevated for shit. What? Elevation of Denver, Colorado. 4,875. We got 4,000 feet on those bitches. So I don't know. Maybe it's not about elevation. But there sure is a lot of crazy shit that goes on here. I wonder if the Columbine. No, I don't think the Columbine killers were Colorado natives either. I do remember something about coconut with the girls. I think they were sitting on the couch and one of the girls said that to the other child, can't tell you any. That's along the lines of what I heard, Kelly, from what they were saying. Good morning, Kirsty. Holy crap, it's nearly 10 a.m. It's almost 3 a.m. here. Okay, I will, Katrina. I will look into that. Oh yeah, DeRosa, you were in the Springs for a while. I remember you saying that. Good night, Ruby. So do I, Robbie. I agree about forming a certain opinion on Shanann after seeing the videos. Yeah, and you know what? I'm not trying to knock her and say anything. I'm just saying from what I saw, I could see how that relationship could plummet and how things can go. Any relationship, you'd be surprised, can go south in 2 seconds flat, especially when you have cheating involved. Hey, Megan. If NK wasn't a trial witness because there was no trial, then how could she get into the witness protection program? If she was pregnant and the baby would be at risk, I could see it. I don't know what to think about that, NK. I have mixed emotions about her, but honest opinion, when I hear her in interviews and stuff, people are like, oh my God, I hate her. I'm like, kind of like her. And I'm not saying I like what they did. I'm just saying, like, she seems like a more tomboyish, and I don't know, just the way she talked and stuff. It was kind of annoying because I feel like she's being dishonest in many different areas. But I don't know. I really don't, in my heart, I don't feel like she was involved at all. But in my heart, I definitely think she knew that Shanann was pregnant. And she knew, because I mean, come on. That'd almost be like, look, I go live a lot. Shanann was live all the time and like putting all of their family business kind of out, what's going on and making their family look super happy online. If you're a mistress, you're going to see that somewhere. Come on, gang, come on. But that's just my opinion. I know everybody says she was in the driveway that morning because they've seen her on a video or something, but I don't know. Yeah, you know what? Perfectly Imperfect. I think NK took those pictures for that interview. Right? Those really like glamour shot looking pictures where she looks really pretty. Like she looks like Kristen Stewart, in my opinion. Oh, you don't know anything about it, DeRosa? That's okay. You're better off. Absolutely. She, in my opinion, had to have. If you've read Tanya Hagen's book it's fictional, but it's based on this case. The NK character becomes very, near the end of the story, kind of obsessive over the Chris character and goes and like sits outside of the house and stares, and she's relatable at the same time because she wants things to work with him, but she's curious to see if he's lying to her or not. So with the way Chris was with just being back and forth telling the truth and stuff, he lied to NK all the time too. So that's enough to drive either NK or Shanann crazy and for them to start investigating, both of them. So I think NK did a lot more investigating than she's leading on to. Just my opinion. Yeah, all dramatically and beautiful. She looks pretty in the pictures. MJ. MJ, I've been getting a lot of your older videos popping up in my feed, and I had no idea. So I was watching a lot of them today. I watched the Santa one, and then I watched another one where you're driving in the car. NK was not in witness protection. What bothers me is how much Daddy K injected himself into the whole case. Well, yeah, I mean, again, like parents are going to act differently or protect their kids or have love for them in different ways. She's not in witness protection. She can't have kids. Amy, I don't think she used to be a man. Everyone says her voice is so annoying. And so, I used to have a friend that sounds like her voice. I liked that friend. I fully believe she had a DID, multiple personalities. Who? Which one? Perfectly Imperfect. I don't promote a whole lot. Well, yeah, where did they go? They were popping up in my newsfeed nonstop. MJ, can you put the link to your channel in there? Because I liked what I saw. I was like, oh my God, she's so cute. It was like seeing your picture in action. Freaky voice message where she sounds like a child. I think that one was, the laugh was kind of like, just very, I don't know, maybe they had a fetish where she talked cutesy like that. Or, some girls. I have a lot of female friends where they talked more high pitch around guys that they liked. And yeah. So maybe that's what that was all about. And it just came out creepy. And she forgot to delete and re-record. You saw an Adam's apple? 30-something. Why have daddy there? Well, I mean, that's a hard thing to go through, I'm sure, especially if she 100% is not involved. I would want to have my parents there or somebody I cared about by my side, because it's not every day you deal with something like that. His truth may not be what he's told CBI agents. No surprise. Not at all. That's why the people that keep saying, he confessed, you guys, just let it rest. It's like, no, don't tell me to let it rest. He changed his mind. He confessed once and then he did it again. And then he told another story once they drove out to the prison. So don't tell me to let it rest. I don't know which one to believe, if any. Her voice is squeaky, but apparently heard the voicemail when searching the house and said it was the girls haunting the house. You think that was NK on that police camera, that giggle? That was creepy. I don't think it was. And after going to that house and experiencing the shit we have, I definitely think it's a demon. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for the prayers for my hamster, Sandra. She's healing well. Daddy Watts wasn't able to be there as NK's dad was. Just strange. That does make you go, Why delete text messages that would prove your innocence? Because they could make her look super slutty, maybe, and worse. Maybe there was a lot of embarrassing sexual stuff in there that she just wanted to delete. We don't know. Constantly saying she was trying to get CW to work on his marriage. Then she banged him several times. Yeah, I don't buy that bullshit for a second. Especially if in the book, My Daddy is a Hero, they talk about how when she went there, she saw the pictures and she got annoyed and she walked out to the car and she was sitting in the truck outside and he was inside and they were arguing over text messages while she was outside the house throwing a fit. No. And if she's going to do that, I've been in a situation on both sides where I've cheated and I've been on all angles of it. I used to be a slut and I used to throw that out, but my thing was, I don't think I ever dated anybody where I knew they were in a relationship. If they ended up telling me, I'd be like, okay, you need to work it out with them. But really in reality, I was like, hopefully they won't. And they'll feel sorry for me and then come to me. And they never did. Do you think the demon was what made Mexi get so emotional when he was at the house? Mexi is he's an empath, just being around him for 16 years. He's always been very connected spiritually and stuff. And plus he has a family. So I think it just hits him. It just hit him that night, especially because I wasn't there distracting him. So he was more focused and in tune with it and more emotional. Now you are an NK lover. I know he's totally anti NK. No, I'm not. Look, I know I've said a lot of stuff that supports Chris's parents, or I've made NK look good and said, oh, I don't really think I'd get along with Shanann and stuff. There is no reason this should have ever happened. The murders. When I look at the situation, I see people from what I think about their personalities and what I think about them, but there is never any reason to murder somebody. But it's just my opinion on their personalities and stuff. Exactly, Nikki. I relate to her. I was a slut. Just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding about the slut part. But I just think it's important that we look at all angles. Not everybody that cheats is a monster. And when they say once a cheater, always a cheater, that's not true either. Some people maybe just aren't designed to be in relationships. We just have to be honest with ourselves. The direction I plan on continuing, but on your channel. Okay, MJ. Oh, I need to go take a shower. I'm tired. Shanann was controlling, but then why did he hop into another controlling one with NK? Love and relationships make us do crazy shit. And a lot of times, from experience, when you cheat, it's almost like you're testing your limits or test driving a new car. I know this sounds terrible. You're like, don't compare people to cars, but it's true. If you don't like your car and you're like, I still owe money on it, but I could trade it in and then be kind of like deeper in debt, but have a newer car. And then you go test drive a car and maybe you like that car and you take off and you trade your car in, but then maybe you don't. A lot of people test drive changes in life before they make a change. They go on vacation to a different state or city before they move there to see if they like it. So you do that with relationships too. It's a sad truth, but it's true. Is it right? No, but it's true. His first confession believable. Was never controlling, though. She wanted what's best for her. Yes, and if you read through her text messages and stuff, you could see that she did care. And she was hurt. So I'm not saying that she wasn't. What's best for her and her children. He was the controlling one. Oh, you think he was controlling? I don't see him as controlling. I think that is why she was crying about how tiny they were. I think she saw them get killed. Okay. I would love to chat with you for a while. Oh, about the spiritual stuff, DeRosa? We still need to have that conversation. DeRosa and I are going to have a live stream sometime about the God stuff. And I don't even know what his take is on it, but I love talking about that kind of stuff. So you think NK is an actress? She looks like Kristen Stewart. For their own reasons, some people only have been in abusive relationships. Yeah, and a lot of people forget that abuse can come in every form, not just physical. It could be emotional, all sorts of stuff. That is sad. Don't go back, and Mexi's not going back. No, I won't be going back there. Now, if somebody ever invited us to go in that lived there, I would go back there then. So if anybody ever buys that house on here, please let me come over because I want to go in that house. Do you know that after 2 years, yours and Mexi's channel is very first I became a member of? Aw, Nikki, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. You're always so kind. See, guys, we've had a good discussion here tonight. Not everybody's agreed, and you can be nice and respectful. I know inside Nikki's probably like, yeah, but you're a fucking idiot if you think that. But she's still kind and sweet. We're allowed to disagree. Yeah, we'll have a big slumber party, Jane. Went into the house and you know what? That thought never even crossed my mind, perfectly imperfect. If there was a woman that went into that house that night, how come nobody's ever questioned that? If there was a woman who went into the Watts house when they called the police that night and the police went through and looked, how come footage wasn't shown for that? Wow. That is deep. I've never thought of that before. Has anybody ever asked that question? I don't think so. Oh, that's sweet, Anna Laura. If a woman treats me good, then I think there is something wrong. Probably because there might be. Thank you. I want to say I love you, but I'm going to take it slow. You know what I always say? I love you to people. And there's some people that say, I don't throw that word around. Don't throw that word around. If I feel a love in my heart for you, I'm going to say I love you. It doesn't matter if I've known you 2 minutes or 2 years or 12 years. Fuck you. I love you. Shut the fuck up. And deal with it. Because I have love in my heart. Yes, we are definitely going to do that, DeRosa. We're going to have to set it up. This coming Wednesday, I'm supposed to be having a guy on that's 5 years sober from methamphetamines, and I'm only 5 months sober. So it's going to be a cool conversation. I wanted to set it up so it was exactly on my 5-month mark, but that didn't happen. Maybe we should get a homicide hunter, Joe Kenda, involved. I love that man. I never knew you had so many murders in Colorado. Yeah, see that hypoxia thing. Love you too, Mary. See? I have a lot of love. Anyways, guys, I'm really tired. I'm going to go. You're obsessed with green means go. I'm going to go take a shower and spoon feed Sandra and go to bed. But thank you for listening to my opinion without pinning me to a cross. Because I care about a lot of different people involved in this situation. And I think everybody has feelings that need to be considered. You may not like everyone. However, you're going to have to fucking deal with that. Everybody has emotions, whether you like to think that or not. Good night, Kirsten. Good night, Mrs. Magoo. You guys have fun gambling. Be safe. Good night, Perfectly Imperfect. DeRosa, DeRosa, you have my email? I don't know if you have any other forum, if you could find me on Facebook or whatever, but otherwise just email me. That way we could set a good convo up. That'd be fun. DeRosa's easy to talk to. Easygoing guy. Good guy. All right, guys. Love you. I will talk to you later. Have a good night. And I'm going to continue watching this channel that I had pinned. I think it's still pinned there. Yeah, the Chris Watts Revelation. What's it called again? Hold on. Chris Watts Revelation in the Reckoning. Give it a try. Give it a chance. You don't have to like them, but it's interesting to listen. Lots of criticism, though. Lots of people criticizing them. But those people seem to be assholes. So stop being a dick. Be nice. And listen from all angles. And if you're feeling frisky sexually, maybe you want to take it from all angles. That's your decision. You're welcome to do that as a human being. It's a beautiful thing about life. So I love you, and I will talk to you later. Good night. Get out of my computer. Get out of my computer.